They're being buried in ditches to their waist or their breast, depending on their gender, and being, have thrown stone at them until they're dead. Where there are people in prison today, right now, as we speak, for crimes of enmity against God, nothing could be more relevant and important. Progress in every era has been linked to criticizing that which is taboo and deemed to be sacred. More often than not, it has been linked to criticism or a challenge to religion. It's no different today. Our era's progress is intrinsically linked to a criticism of Islam and Islamism. As the writer Kenan Malek has said, the giving of offense is not just inevitable, but it is also important. Any kind of social justice and change and progress means offending some deeply held sensibilities. Or to put it another way, you can't say that is all too often the response of those in power to having their power challenged. To accept that certain things cannot be said is to accept that certain forms of power cannot be challenged. Human beings, as Salman Rushdie has put it, shape their futures by arguing and challenging and saying the unsayable, not by bowing their knees, whether to gods or to men. I, for one, will not be welcoming Islamism in the region. I will fight it, as I know many of you and many in the region and across the world will. Thank you.
Thank you, Maryam, for a very comprehensive and interesting description of the situation. I have a lot of questions, and I am sure that you have too. Yes, please.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
You can do that.
Are you going to speak about the Sharia Council in Great Britain? Okay. I would like you to say something more about post-Islamism, which you introduced as in the because in Sweden, generally, it's now been speaking about moderate and militant Islamism, and that's something new. So I thought in some way it was linked to post-Islamist, but I never heard post-Islamist before, so I would like to hear more about it.
I'll just wait for a few comments and questions.
Okay, sure. Any comments? More questions? I have one, Maryam. I just want to ask you if you can explore the knowledge or your knowledge about the impact of the political Islam in the future, because we know a lot of the impact now, but what do you think about the future? And my another question, if nobody has one? Yes, please.
Do you have any suggestion how to meet this, trying to prevent the Islamists to hijack the revolution? How do you think the international society could help with that?
Can I ask you just, if you want to ask a question, please speak now. Yes, please.
The way that I understood your lecture,
can you raise
raise the voice? But I can raise my voice also. So, the way that I understood your lecture, that you are so pleased with the revolution that is happening in the countries, and then you are saying that the revolution in itself is good. But the thing that we are seeing, for example, in Libya, one of the first laws that they have announced was that the people in Gaddafi's period having more than one wife was illegal. So one of the first things to break was that one. So, and Islam is very part of the revolution, but part of the points are like kidnapping the revolution and then coming to power and then religious policy.
So what do you think is happening?
Yeah, I'm quite puzzled also. I couldn't say that revolution is something positive. Of course, if you are, yeah, it's kind of like a form of like protesting, but not all the time the best.
Can I sit down? Maryam, is that okay? Yeah. On the issue of Sharia courts, I mean, if you'd like to know more about them, I could expand on them. There are Sharia courts in Britain, there are Sharia courts in many places across Europe. And what they're doing is they are basically being allowed to function because they are addressing only civil matters. And one of the things we've tried to raise is the fact that just because there are no stonings and amputations, but women's rights in the family are being violated, doesn't mean that it is any less scandalous and something that we need to be concerned about. If you look at the rise of Sharia courts in Britain, for example, it is linked to the rise of Islamism. So one of the things we always explain is that Sharia courts is not necessarily the demand of Muslims per se. There have been Muslims living in Britain for many, many years. It's only since the mid-80s, after the establishment of an Islamic Republic in Iran, that we have seen the rise of Sharia courts, for example, in Britain. Now, it is a human rights scandal what is happening with the Sharia courts in Britain. You have, if you look at a decision made at a Sharia court there, you will see that it is no different from a court in Iran. It's exactly the same. But these are people who are British citizens and who should have access to rights that are available to them. A woman's testimony is worth half that of a man's, and the reason the Sharia court gives, which is on its website, is that a woman is, it's not misogynist, it's about women's nature. You need another woman to remind her in case she forgets, and because she's too emotional. And these are the same reasons that you have, judges giving in Iran or in countries under Sharia law. So you have, for example, men having the unilateral right to divorce, whereas women don't. Child custody going to the father at a preset age. That's fine. Obviously, sometimes the father may be the best person to look after a child. But when religious dogma takes precedence to child welfare, there's a problem there. Child welfare laws are very strict in Britain, and here you've got Sharia law overriding those decisions. There's an increase in child marriages. The Forced Marriage Unit just issued a report in which they addressed, I'm sorry, I can't remember the statistics, X number of forced marriages in the past year. 5 of those were for children between the age of 9 and 11. Sharia courts had sanctioned child marriage, which is pedophilia. Now, in Britain, this is an outrage. It's a human rights scandal. Very little attention is being given to it for the very same reasons. I can give you the statistics if you email me. Sorry, I didn't realize I was going to go into it. This is a very long discussion, but I think a lot of the whole concept of multiculturalism, communities being deemed to be homogeneous, allowing self-appointed imams and Islamic organizations to decide on the fate of citizens because they are deemed to be Muslims, and the state shrugging its responsibility towards those citizens is part of the problem, as is the racism of lower expectations. This is their culture. They can't handle equal rights and freedoms. The racism of lower expectations, plus